Welcome to Front Office Pros. I'm Steve and this is Joe. And today we're going to be doing some speed trading. We're going to be talking about players that you should be trading for or trading away. And it just so happens that we're going to be doing the trade deadline edition. So we're going to be talking about players that were just traded recently within the NFL. So Joe, let's start off with our first player, one that's extremely interesting. Wide receiver Calvin Ridley, now a member of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, Steve. I mean, this is very interesting player. Been kind of dead seeing how he was suspended with the Falcons there. Um, I think if I'd try to trade for Ridley. I think maybe and you might not have to give too much up for him. I mean, the owner could be a little unhappy with Ridley so far, and could get him for a decent value. And then I think there's a chance now that he seems to be happier with the Jaguars. In a better offense with Lawrence there, potential that he does pretty well there. So yeah, if I could get him for a value, I'd trade for him.
Yeah, this one's really tough for me. I have been really going back and forth on it. It's really encouraging to see him be excited, him sending out a tweet. And also, I saw a lot of his Jacksonville Jaguars teammates have been, sending a bunch of stuff, I think on Instagram, like welcoming him. I mean, he needs that. I'm sure his morale, and possibly his self-esteem was pretty low after everything that's transpired. I don't know. I almost feel like I might want to trade him away. It really depends on who. It depends on how rational your owner is, who owns Calvin Ridley, honestly, because it's a new lease on life for him. But the question is, will he turn it around? Will he get involved? So if somebody is like super ecstatic about him, you could trade him away and you could get a decent amount for him. Could turn into something. I don't blame you for wanting to trade for him. But I think depending on, if you have somebody who's like, oh, he's going to be unbelievable, you might actually be able to get a good return for him. I feel similar. It's a different scenario, but I feel kind of like the Michael Thomas situation, like I talked about a few weeks ago, where it's like this guy's going to get injured. You need to trade him away right now and get what you can get. It's kind of what I'm thinking in this scenario with Ridley.
Yeah, I guess the only difference is, I mean, Ridley's a young player. And I actually expect, some future returns where we weren't sure about the future returns Michael Thomas could potentially give you, given his injury history and everything, and you're kind of trying to strike on a hot start that he had. That's where I think the future returns for Ridley are there. Not sure if it's a fair comparison.
Yeah. I mean, I don't blame you. I just there's no guarantee he comes back is what I'm saying.
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah. Yeah, you're right about that. I mean, there is absolutely no guarantee. It's just a matter of, do you believe in the talent of Ridley and that he could come back to somewhat of a form that we had seen prior with the Jaguars?
So let's talk about our next player, wide receiver Kadarius Toney, now a member of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, man, he's really interesting. I think I'd trade for him, and not so much for this year. This is a future move by trading for Kadarius Toney. I don't know how involved he'll be in the offense this year, but I do expect. I mean, obviously they got a couple of the guys there right now on 1-year deals at the receiver position, so the receiver room could look a lot different next year. And yeah, I just like his future, his speed. I mean, he's kind of that Tyreek Hill-esque player that the Chiefs have really been missing. Definitely could be a spark plug. We'll see how much Sky Moore gets in the mix in the future as well, but I'd look in the trade for him.
I would trade for him aggressively. I'm very bullish.
Aggressively, wow.
Yes, I'm very bullish on Kadarius Toney. He fits that mold that Andy Reid likes, in that offense. He's so shifty. And, when plays break down, I just think Mahomes will look his way. You're right. He may not get as involved. It's so tough. He has had the bye week to prepare. Now he's going to be playing on prime time Sunday night. It might be too late. You might see him make a couple splash plays and all of a sudden, the fantasy community is just going to be, going nuts, and talking about him on YouTube and on, a bunch of different shows and stuff. So to me, the window is closing. I would maybe I'm wrong here. You got to risk it. You got to risk it sometimes. I would throw the bag to try to get the guy. And if I miss out, I miss out. But I really think he's going to ball out. I really do.
Yeah. You think you got to throw the bag? I mean, do you think?
No, I'm just saying I'm being aggressive in the offer. I don't think you need to unless you have an unreasonable Toney owner. But to me,
like yourself.
Well, I own them. I'm not looking to sell them.
That's what I mean, like yourself. I'd have to really throw the bag at you to get you to move from them.
You're probably right. Right. Yeah, it might be too hard to I mean, if somebody offered me a first round pick for him, I would. It's a very fair offer. But I would want to see what happens. I don't know. I mean, I could see. I wouldn't take it. I think it's great value. To me, like, I think anything would be a little bit of an overpayment. I feel like, but I would just hate to let him go and then just see him go nuts. I just would feel like I have to hold on to him, see what happens, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's a valid point. I mean you've held them through the tough times of the Giants of not getting utilized at all and waited for this moment, so it makes complete sense.
All right, so our next player, wide receiver Chase Claypool, now a member of the Chicago Bears.
I think if I could, I'd trade away Chase Claypool. I think this news maybe will get some owners excited about Chase Claypool. I'm still not sure. I think he definitely helps the Bears offense. Just not sure how much they'll end up using him. This could really help Darnell Mooney. I don't know. I think if there's an owner in your league that's really excited about Claypool going to Chicago and is willing to give you a decent amount, I think I'd capitalize on it and trade him away here.
Interesting. I'm going to trade for him. All these players, it's just a ton of mystery. We don't know. This is why this is so fun to talk about because you don't know what's happening with them. But I don't know. He doesn't have a true number one receiver. He's a different type of receiver than that Fields has had at his disposal, so far in his career. He's starting, people are really starting to buy the hype in Fields. He's starting, people are talking about rumblings of a breakout. I think you gave up your own second round pick. That could be a very high second round pick. That is, not chump change. So to me, I think he gets him. They have to involve him in that offense. Hopefully Fields throws the ball more with him. I like it. People are down on Claypool. I think you'd have an easier time if you wanted, let's say you wanted a receiver and you could get either Claypool or Toney for this season. I think you probably would be able to get Claypool easier than Toney.
Yeah, you're probably right. Because it's tough too. Because if you're looking for a receiver this year, Claypool really fits the bill better because I don't know what to expect for Toney this year. But like I said, the future for him should be better. So yeah, you're probably not wrong there.
All right, so our next player, we got tight end TJ Hockenson, now the member of the Minnesota Vikings.
I think I'd trade away TJ Hockenson at this point. I don't know if this move necessarily is better for Hockenson for fantasy. I think this is better for Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings offense, the move for Hockenson. But I don't know if this is necessarily going to mean, more points for Hockenson necessarily. I mean, Irv Smith has been a talented player at the tight end position. No, he's really had a lot of health issues, but even when he was healthy, hadn't really involved him. So I just wonder how much tight end involvement this offense is going to have as a whole. So if you if somebody's willing to acquire Hockenson and thinks he's going to be a smash play with the Vikings, I trade him away.
Yeah, I think I would agree with you. I'd be inclined to trade him away as well. There is from a dynasty, outlook, Thielen is getting older. Cook is, getting older. Really only has Justin Jefferson, as like a true pass catching option that should be there for the long haul. So a part of me is intrigued by, his dynasty value going forward, but he is a really good blocker. And, with that team, like it could be a great NFL play that doesn't translate to fantasy.
That's what I'm concerned about.
Yeah, so I mean, I think you could buy on the possible hype. And in our league, you'd have to pay him. And I don't know, based on the contract that he would want, I wouldn't. Don't think I'd feel comfortable paying him. I'd let him walk.
Yeah, I think also, I mean, is this Kirk's last year in that offense too? Potentially, if they don't resign him, or
Yeah, I'd have to check. I think he had a 1 year extension. I think he's got one more year. I want to say.
okay, because that's what I was also interested in. If there was a quarterback change, if plus or negative for him too. So
Yeah, I mean, and who knows about Kirk?
yeah,
I mean, he could stay there. He could be gone down the road. I mean, they obviously have done really well, but does, kind of want to hitch his wagon to Cousins when he's kind of, has not done well under the lights when the game really is on the line and it matters. So it'll be really interesting to see.
yeah, definitely.
All right. So our next player is running back Jeff Wilson, now a member of the Miami Dolphins.
If I'm a competing team that needs a running back for like the coming up for the stretch play, I think I'd be willing to trade for Wilson. I think he's definitely going to be involved. This actually, I mean, we'll see what happens with the utilization between him and Mostert, but this could also mean he ends up getting. I think he has potential to get more involved in Mostert. I think Mike McDaniel has seen when Mostert gets utilized a lot, he ends up getting injured, and that he's bringing in Wilson to trying to kind of take the load off of him and keep both guys healthy. But otherwise, if I'm not competing and looking to win this year, yeah, Wilson's not a guy that has future dynasty value. I don't think so. I'd trade him away otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in a rebuilding mode, I mean, this could not have. This news is a delight for you, because now it's like you trade him and you actually get something. Before or after they got McCaffrey, his value absolutely plummeted. There'd be no interest in him at all. So now,
Yeah.
interestingly enough, so I agree with you. So if running backs, they can get injured, all the time. So I could see him just having him in your stable of running backs just in case, you get a ton of bye weeks or what have you. As an owner who traded for Mostert, are you now inclined to possibly trade for Wilson too? To make sure you have both?
I don't know. I mean, it's definitely possible. I don't know I don't know. I'm wrestling between because there's other guys on the block in our league at running back position. So I'm also wrestling with the idea if I go and try to acquire, one of those other guys that are on the block. But Wilson definitely could be a cheaper option that would kind of help save my investment in Mostert, like you said. So.
All right, so our next player, running back Nyheim Hines, now a member of the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, he's another guy. I mean, if I'm competing, I'd try to trade for him. I think the Bills obviously acquired this guy for a reason. They want to use a running back in the passing game. They've been, rumored around Kamara, McCaffrey. Try to get McKissick in the offseason. That didn't work out at the last minute there. They drafted James Cook. I just don't think they want to put all their trust as they're making this Super Bowl push in James Cook for this year. So that's why they bring in a guy like Nyheim Hines. So yeah, I mean, trying to win and compete, I'm going to trade for him. But if you're in a rebuilding team, take advantage of this trade and trade him away and get some value for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I actually think he could have sneakier value than, is expected. I know Singletary has really gotten the lion's share of the carries in Buffalo, which, it hasn't been that way over the past few years, and it's been considered a kind of a nightmare. I'll be just very curious to see how many, maybe they'll not want Singletary to get as many carries as he has and possibly preserve him for the playoff run. Hopefully they don't involve Cook and Nyheim Hines and Singletary, or else then, that'll be a nightmare. I agree with you. I think Cook may end up starting to be healthy scratches. I could see that, and it's really just the Nyheim Hines show with Singletary obviously taking the lead. So it'll be interesting. I agree with you though. I think he could provide some value. He has some explosion. It'd be really interesting to see how they use him. I wouldn't blame you for holding him either. And just seeing, if his value gets better over time.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, I could see you holding him, but I don't know. I guess depending on what happens, his value could improve. I was gonna say, I mean, this is definitely the highest Heinz's value has been in all season long. So
Maybe ever.
yeah,
Maybe ever, because you don't have a guy like Jonathan Taylor commanding the backfield. He was just a
right.
supplemental guy. When Taylor got hurt, people wanted Hines, and then he ended up getting hurt, and it was Deion Jackson. So,
Yeah, and then you got limited passing role on a Colts offense. Now you get the Bills who pass a ton and explosive Bills offense. So I mean, just the prowess and that alone, I mean, will carry his value up.
we are in an IDP league, so we do talk about IDP players. Let's talk about linebacker Roquan Smith, now a member of the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, I think I would trade for Roquan Smith, honestly. I think that even though Roquan has been very good and a very solid IDP player, I think there's a chance that he's even better in Baltimore with that defense. They just know how to coach up linebackers. They always have a good linebacking core. They'll actually I think we'll see them put belief in him and give him an extension that the Bears weren't going to either. So, yeah, I mean, he's only Bobby Wagner has more tackles over the last 4 seasons than Roquan Smith. I mean, he's an absolute smash IDP play. Uh, it'd probably be hard to get him, I'd imagine, but I definitely would try to trade for him versus trading him away.
Yeah, no, I agree. You'd have to pay a premium, I would think, for him, but I would trade for him aggressively. I think he's the type of player linebackers can play late in their career. You see Bobby still playing at a pretty high level. Roquan's just one of those guys. And now I'm going to
Absolutely.
Baltimore. He is just going to be a stud for you and get you consistent points on a week in, week out basis. And if you look, there is disparity within linebackers. Like you'll want to say, well, all linebackers get tackles, but Roquan Smith is just on a whole nother level. When it comes to the linebacker position. I think he could get better in Baltimore too. The hope is if you do try to trade for him, hopefully the owner that has him is feeling a little hesitant about him going to Baltimore and will he be as good. That's to me is the only maybe kind of like creak in the door that you could maybe get him, acquire him, because I don't know otherwise. That team is probably not looking to trade him away.
Yeah, right. No, yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, I would say you're right. The only way really that you might not have to give up as much as if owner is definitely nervous about the move from Chicago to Baltimore.
All right, so our next player is running back Chase Edmonds, now a member of the Denver Broncos.
What to do with Chase Edmonds?
You're speaking for Broncos country, Joe.
Yeah, I know, man. I think I'd potentially just trade him away. I don't know what to do with this Broncos running back Corey here. I mean, for fantasy, I think I'm just trying to stay away from that backfield altogether if I can. I think he is a guy that will be relevant at least to start the season next year as well. With Javonte, seeing how J.K. Dobbins has really struggled to come back, and that knee injury is kind of similar to that. So it could be, you could see Chase Edmonds not only for the end of this year, but then even into at least half the season next year. So he is kind of a guy that's kind of current and future. I just don't trust Hackett, and he likes to use the stable of backs. I think I'd just trade him away, and maybe somebody's excited about the move because he wasn't getting utilized at all in Miami.
Yeah, and honestly, I'd be kind of inclined to trade for him, I think.
Interesting.
Only because I agree with you. Okay. let me put a caveat here. It depends on the Edmonds owner. If the Edmonds owner is like unrealistic and thinks like, oh, he's going to be the guy now, I'm going to be like, no, thanks. you know, but if I only have to send a late round pick for him, I think I'd be interested only because his profile of running back, he doesn't fit any of the molds that this team has had so far. I mean, Javonte can kind of, catch out of the backfield. So can Gordon, but neither of them have the speed that Edmonds does. People forget what he was like in Arizona. I mean, he was, a really, really good pass catching running back, and he just wasn't utilized in Miami. So I feel, I could be wrong about this, I think Latavius Murray is going to get a lot of the bulk of the carries. I could see Gordon getting eventually cut, honestly, and just walk away from him. And I think Edmonds is more the pass catching guy. That's what I think could happen. And maybe it would be helpful for that offense for Russ to have more of a check down option, because for whatever reason, he hasn't liked the check down options within the game planning. Like, you watch the game and they're even talking on the broadcast, this is the guy that if you're in trouble, this is the player that you're supposed to throw to. And he doesn't, for whatever reason, he doesn't like that option. So maybe having a guy like Edmonds just kind of, jump out of the backfield, maybe Russ would be more inclined to look at a guy like Edmonds.
Yeah, he's definitely more of the fits the bill for more of an explosive player, especially Mike Boone was kind of that player for the Broncos, but then now he's on the IR. So right. Edmonds will really kind of fill that void of adding some pop and speed to that offense. Checkdowns, like you mentioned, a lot of times when Russell's missing them, it's when they're right in the middle of his face, like right in the middle of the field, and he just doesn't look at his way. But yeah, it'd definitely be interesting. He does add a different dynamic than what the Broncos currently have at running back.
All right, so we are an IDP league, like I said. So we're going to be talking about another IDP player, former Bronco, Joe. Defensive end Bradley Chubb, now a member of the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, I would definitely trade him away. I mean, I'm so excited that the Broncos got the first round pick. Think it's crazy that he was able to garner so much money for the Dolphins, but in reality, he could be. I just don't know if he's going to say that he could be better in Miami or not for fantasy. So if an owner is going to put belief in him, kind of like what the NFL has shown, that they still believe in the guy, even though he's only had one season with double-digit sacks, and that was 12 in his rookie year. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely trading him away, and hopefully an owner has belief in him.
Yeah, I'm trading him away aggressively. To me, he's injury prone. He gets injured a lot. That concerns me. The other thing is, I agree. He's only gotten double-digit sacks once. I think he probably will this year. But the other thing for me is that defense is very blitz heavy. I don't know if he's really going to have that many opportunities where it's just, he beats the guy and he has a shot at sacking the quarterback. I think he might cause more pressures, QB pressures. And if your league doesn't include things like QB hits or QB hurries, then I don't think that's going to translate for you. And so then you're going to look and be like, are you kidding me? Like, maybe he's making plays, but he's not the one finishing it off by getting the sack. So to me, I would be looking to trade him away. And with the hype of him getting this huge contract and going to Miami, I mean, boy, I don't know, Joe, would you say this is the highest value for him right now? Is this his peak?
It could be, other than if you would have traded him after his rookie year.
Yeah, that's the only thing I was wondering.
Sacks.
Yeah.
But since then, I mean, if you didn't trade him after his rookie year, his value hasn't been that high. So This is definitely the highest it's been since his rookie year. Absolutely. And also, I mean, Bradley Chubb could also help unlock Jalen Phillips for this defense as well.
True.
So his value we could even see, Phillips' value spike a little bit from this.
All right, and our last player we're going to be talking about, wide receiver Robby Anderson, now a member of the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, I'm trading Robby Anderson away. Cardinals aren't really using the guy. Murray only has eyes for one guy, and that's number 10, DeAndre Hopkins. the offense, he stinks without Hopkins, and their offense is so much better with him. And they don't take the deep shots to Robby Anderson like we all kind of thought they'd use them. I think things get even more complicated when Marquise Hollywood-Brown comes back. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, I'm just gonna try to trade him away and try to avoid him.
Yeah, I would trade him away too. Honestly, it's too little, too late. I know we haven't really covered Robby Anderson. He was traded, quite a while ago to the Cardinals. Possibly at the time there could have been some allure with him, and what he could be. But since he's gotten there, he's done absolutely nothing. So at this point, he wasn't doing anything in Carolina. So you maybe had high hopes that he was going to be good. And then all of a sudden he wasn't. So to me, unfortunately, I try to trade him away, but I just don't know what you get. You're probably going to just have to just stash him at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. And then hopefully things get better, or maybe Cardinals move him too.
Yeah. Yeah. Or you have to hope that maybe after this year he goes somewhere else, and that's where maybe his value, will become better.
Yeah, I agree.
So that was 10 players. That was our trade deadline edition that we told you whether you should trade for or trade away the player. If you enjoy this content, we encourage you to like this video, subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell. We're a new channel, and so we create several videos on a weekly basis. And go ahead and leave a comment. Do you agree with Joe and I's commentary as to whether you should trade for or trade away the player? Or do you have some other players in mind that you'd like our input on? Go ahead and put a comment down below. I will be happy to reply. And one other plug for you, we've been doing a ton of trade deadline reaction videos. So if you are interested, we break down our analysis of what this means for all these new players going to their new teams. So thank you for watching, and until next time.